I'm Daniel, 45 years old, and until 6 months ago, I thought I had the perfect life. A loving wife, Sarah, and 3 beautiful kids: Emily, 19, Jake, 16, and Sophie, 13. We had been together for over 2 decades, and I believed our bond was unshakable. I worked tirelessly as a software engineer to give my family everything they wanted: the house, vacations, private schooling, and a comfortable life. For 20 years, I sacrificed sleep, hobbies, and even friendships for my family. And I thought Sarah appreciated it. But sometimes life saves its cruelest truths for the moment you least expect them. It started when Emily, our eldest, was applying for college scholarships. One required a medical background check and DNA confirmation for hereditary illnesses. She came to me, nervous, and asked if I could help. I happily agreed, thinking it was just a formality. 2 weeks later, the results came back. That's when my entire world collapsed. The test showed something impossible. Emily and I shared 0% biological relation. At first, I thought it was a lab. Mistake. I refused to believe it and paid for another private test, not just for Emily, but for Jake and Sophie as well. I told Sarah it was routine family health screening, so she wouldn't suspect anything. When the results arrived, I sat in my car for over an hour before I could breathe again. None of the kids were mine. None. My hands shook as I scrolled through the documents, each line hammering the final nail into the coffin of my marriage. For 20 years, I had loved, raised, and sacrificed for children who weren't biologically mine, and Sarah, the woman I trusted more than anyone, had been lying every single day of our lives. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, listening to Sarah's steady breathing beside me, wondering how someone could live with such deception for so long. I wanted to wake her up and scream, but I didn't. Not yet. I needed the full truth. Over the next week, I quietly hired a private investigator. Within days, he came back with evidence that shattered me further. Sarah had been having an on-and-off affair with a man named Michael, her ex from college, the same man she had once claimed was just a friend. Based on timelines, there was no doubt he was the biological father of all 3 kids. I felt sick. 20 years of my life gone. My trust, my sacrifices, my love, all crushed under her betrayal. But the worst part? I looked at my kids and realized they had no idea. I didn't want them to feel abandoned, yet I couldn't keep living a lie. That night, I sat down with Emily first. My voice trembled as I explained what I had discovered. She cried, hard, saying she had no clue. When I told Jake and Sophie, they reacted differently: confused, angry, broken. Jake screamed at Sarah later, while Sophie locked herself in her room. Finally, I confronted Sarah. I still remember her face when I placed the DNA results in front of her. At first, she froze, her lips parting but no sound coming out. Then she started shaking her head, whispering, "No, Daniel, it's not what you think." "Not what I think?" I said, my voice low but trembling with rage. "You lied to me for 20 years. You let me raise another man's children. You let me kill myself to give us this life while you kept this secret. And you expect me to believe it's not what I think?" She broke down, sobbing, begging me to listen. She admitted everything: how she and Michael had rekindled their relationship after we were married, how she never expected it to go this far, how she didn't want to ruin the family by confessing. "You didn't want to ruin the family?" I exploded. "You already ruined it the moment you opened your legs for him." Her tears didn't move me. The betrayal was too deep. That night, I moved into the guest room and started planning my next steps. I wasn't going to act out of anger. I was going to act with precision. The next morning, I called my lawyer. I wanted divorce papers drafted immediately. And since Sarah had committed paternity fraud, we built a strategy to ensure I wouldn't be financially responsible for the kids, not 1 cent. My lawyer was ruthless and brilliant. He helped me gather every piece of evidence: DNA reports, the investigator's files, and screenshots of Sarah's emails with Michael. Within a week, I filed for divorce and served her at home. When she opened the envelope, her face went pale. You can't just walk away like this," she stammered. "Oh, I can," I said coldly. "You lied. You cheated. You stole 20 years of my life. Now you get nothing." Michael tried to reach out to me, claiming he didn't know about the kids until recently, but my investigator had already exposed that lie too. He'd been sending Sarah money for years under the guise of helping with bills. I forwarded the evidence to his wife, who promptly filed for divorce and kicked him out of their home. Sarah's perfect little fantasy crumbled overnight. The court battle was brutal. Sarah tried to argue that I was the only father the kids had ever known, but my lawyer shredded her case with the DNA evidence. In the end, the judge ruled that Michael was the biological father and therefore financially responsible. I was legally freed from all obligations. I moved out, bought a small apartment across town, and started rebuilding my life. It wasn't easy. Seeing the kids, especially Sophie, cry broke me inside, but I had to be honest with them. I told them I would always love them, even if we weren't biologically related, but I couldn't stay married to their mother. Sarah lost everything. Her reputation, her financial security, her marriage, gone. Michael didn't take her in, either. Once his own marriage collapsed, he cut ties with her to focus on his new life. She ended up moving back in with her parents, humiliated and alone. Months later, Emily came to visit me. She hugged me and whispered, "You're still my dad, no matter what." I broke down for the first time in years. Jake and Sophie slowly came around too, and while our relationship is complicated, they know I never stopped loving them. As for Sarah, last I heard, she's working 2 jobs just to survive. She's tried texting me countless times, begging for forgiveness, saying we can work it out, but I haven't replied once. 20 years of lies, 20 years of betrayal. She destroyed our family with her choices, but in the end, she destroyed herself more than anyone else. And now, every time I look at the DNA reports tucked away in my drawer, I remind myself of one thing. Never ignore your gut.